Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. T.S. Ravishankar, Director Epigraphy, Archaeological Survey of India, Mysore. On subject Indian Culture, paper Indian Epigraphy. On the module Paleography, a modern science, its founders and development. As you are aware, in this module we are going to learn and study about the meaning and scope of paleography, discovery of inscriptions and decipherment of scripts, history of paleographical studies in India, pioneers of Indian paleography. As you know, epigraphy is a very demanding discipline, and one is required to know or have the knowledge of Sanskrit, paleography, orthography, many other aspects connected with Indian epigraphy. It's a very, very vast area. Paleography is a very, very important segment, and to become a sound epigraphist, knowledge of paleography is utmost importance. Paleographical studies assumed great importance in course of time, and without knowledge of paleography, one cannot successfully decipher inscriptions. In the Indian epigraphical studies, paleography occupies a supreme place, directly connected with the evolution and formation of letters. You know, the Brahmi script has a long history of evolution, starting from 3rd century BC to 12th century and 4th. And in this, the establishment of the Asiatic Society of Bengal in the year 1784 marks a very, very important landmark in the interlogical studies, especially in epigraphical and paleographical studies. Asiatic Society of Bengal galvanized, made tremendous stride in the interlogical studies, and epigraphy formed one of the very important aspect. You know, the history of Indian paleography falls into 3 different stages. It was Professor Dani who could place categorically all the 3 stages, and the first was the discovery of the inscriptions of the decipherment of scripts. In the first stage, there was a great collection that was going on in the entire length and breadth of the country. Hundreds and thousands of inscriptions were copied, and attempts were made for deciphering inscriptions. And there are many pioneers connected. Both Indian as well as European scholars were involved, and it is their long and continuous painstaking study that has brought to us study on a very, very firm foundation. Here, very few important personages who have made tremendous strides in the field of paleographical studies are taken. The first person to name it is Charles Wilkins. In the year 1785, he read the Badal pillar inscription of the king, Pala king Narayana Pala. So we see from the later inscriptions they came to earlier phase, like they could succeed only deciphering Ashokan edict at a later stage, but you see the earlier scholars, epigraphists, they were concentrating on the later period of inscriptions, and subsequently they came to the earlier phase like Guptas and the Kushanas and the Mauryan inscriptions. Among other prominent persons who have made great efforts in the study of inscriptions are Pandit Radhakant Sharma, who successfully earlier years he made lot of efforts to decipher Ashokan rock edict, and followed by James Todd. He's a great personality who was great involved in collecting inscriptions and studying inscriptions from Rajasthan and Central India. His Annals on Antiquities of Rajasthan is a very great book which we have to refer to understand his personality and his contribution. Same is the Babington. Another significant achievement during this period is the Gupta and Maitrika Vallabhi inscriptions. As I said, this is a very, very important stage. Hundreds of many inscriptions connected to Gupta and Maitrikas were deciphered during this period. And the great personality whom we all of the epigraphists has to remember is James Prinsep. He was the father of Indian epigraphy, and he revolutionized. He brought tremendous changes in the study of epigraphy, who could successfully decipher in earlier stages the biscriptal bilingual coins, and even when he could successfully see Danam inscriptions ending, and he decided this is how this further led to the decipherment of the Brahmi script. And as I said, in addition to inscriptions, biscriptal bilingual coins were found from northwest region, and this led to the successful decipherment of the Brahmi script. James Prinsep, not only he could lay the key, he unfolded before us the entire script connected with the Brahmi script, and very successfully deciphered. And he kept before us the key for the decipherment of Brahmi script. He was the first man to realize the significance, his success, and he prepared a chart, modifications of the Sanskrit alphabet from 543 BC to AD 1200. So with this, the stage comes to end, and the second stage starts. As I said, a large number of inscriptions were copied from length of the breadth of the country, and all the scholars from different parts of the Indian subcontinent, they were engaged themselves in collecting and decipherment. And this is the first stage, and the second stage is the preparation of charts. And the first person involved in this, James Burgess, is a big name in the field of paleographical studies. He defined as the study of gradual modification of alphabets in course of time. And in the year 1874, Burnell produced for the first time a book on paleography entitled Elements of South Indian Paleography from 4th to 17th century AD. Another few scholars who made great efforts in the area of paleography are K.F. Hall, a Dutch scholar who was working on inscriptions of Southeast Asia. As you know, along with tradition, culture, and other things, the script also traveled beyond the seas, and that's how we have a large number of inscriptions reported from Cambodia, Sumatra, Java, Bali, and many other countries of Southeast Asia. And because it inspired the curiosity of many scholars, and first person to look into this was K.F. Hole, who worked on the paleographical aspects connected with the inscriptions reported from Southeast Asia. Other scholars were James Burgess, Cunningham, and J.F. Fleet. And Burgess, he has done, and Cunningham made immense contribution, not only in the area of archaeological discoveries, but also he made discoveries in the area of epigraphy also. And in the year 1894, Gauri Shankara Ojha wrote a book on Prachina Lipimala. Even now, this is a magnum opus as far as the work on paleographical studies are concerned, and he has extensively studied whatever the material available with him at that point of time, and created a wonderful book on Prachina Lipimala. Even to this day, all the students who are connected with epigraphy and paleography, they studied. And other scholars were from German scholars. One is E. Hulsch and George Buehler. Long, the Archaeological Survey of India knew the importance, and they set up a branch, epigraphy branch. And E. Hulsch was the first government epigraphist to head the institution. Under him, tremendous strides were made and lot of publications were brought, and he was the first government epigraphist who edited South Indian inscriptions, which brought him great laurels and credit. George Buehler, long back he wrote in German language, English paleography. Subsequently, it was translated into English also. His contribution is immense. With the available material at that point of time, he could more scientifically look into the paleographical aspects and prepared wonderful chart, which even to this day we refer as a very, very important major work. So this is the, and then for the archaeologist, epigraphy and the paleography, knowledge of paleography is of utmost importance. A large number of inscriptions reported from the archaeological sites, they may be of fragmentary nature, but a knowledge of paleography is very essential even for an archaeologist. When during the excavation some material comes to in the form of a knowledge of paleography is very essential. Thus, the main purpose of the scholars in the second stage was to pursue charts, which we have seen above. The motive of dating comes, as I said earlier, many important records emerged from the archaeological sites. It may be, if the inscriptions are broken or date portion is lost, paleography is the only tool to decide the dates, along with the other archaeological objects like seals and sealings and inscribed material. So paleography is very, very essential, not only for the epigraphist, even an archaeologist to read an inscribed material in situ. Paleography is very, very essential. So now it is increasingly felt. Archaeology and epigraphy, they go hand in hand together. So there is a great necessity. A student should fully understand and appreciate the significance of paleography to in situ study and evaluate the significance of the site along with other stratified material, along with other archaeological finds which are found from different archaeological sites. Especially not only in Andhra Pradesh, many places large-scale excavations are being carried out, mainly of Buddhist sites, and there are many inscriptions are coming to light. And here, an archaeologist, apart from being, knowledge of other aspects of archaeology, a knowledge of a paleography is essential, and thus we will see in future modules also about the importance of paleography and epigraphy. So in the initial stages, when the large number of inscriptions were reported, they try to categorize as per the dynasties like Maurya, Kushan, Gupta, Chalukyas and others, mainly based on the sharp differences, minor differences that are noticed in the different scripts reported from there. Though at later stage, Dani preferred to call it even the Maurya, Kushan scripts as the early Brahmi and the Gupta to a later Brahmi, but this convention naming the script as per the dynasty was also prevalent to facilitate the students to understand, appreciate the inscriptions reported during this period. So that's why we call it Mauryan Brahmi, Kushana Brahmi, Gupta and others, so that they can understand the significance and see the value of the inscription. The main purpose again was to define more accurately the terminology already accepted, so that the different scripts known from the inscriptions of the ruler might be better explained. And this was a great step from the sedimentary conception held in the first stage. A chart is also appended just to see the different scripts that prevailed from early 3rd century BC along with the other subsequent period, this one. And the last stage which importantly marked is the collective effort made by the different epigraphists and paleographers they brought, and mainly the Epigraphia Indica is a very, very prestigious publication brought out from the Archaeological Survey of India. It carries the critically edited inscriptions, and along with other thing, after the introductory notes, a paleographic notes also is attached are written along with the article, so that the different aspects connected with the paleography aspects are highlighted. So Epigraphia Indica, South Indian inscriptions, Corpus Inscription Indicarum, these are all the various different specialized publications connected with epigraphical studies. For a student to know more about the paleographical aspects of each inscription, they have to see the critically edited inscriptions from Epigraphia Indica, Corpus Inscription Indicarum, so that they will know the various ramifications a paleographical script has undergone. That is how. And further, some more valuable books came in the area of paleography. Rajbali Pandey brought out a book on Indian paleography. It is earlier scholars not only did exist on the Brahmi script, subsequently C.C. Dasgupta wrote a book on Kharoshti script. And in the recent years, Ahmad Hasan Dani's contribution is of immense value. He wrote on Indian paleography. It's a very, very valuable book in the recent days. His contribution is immense as far as the paleography is concerned. Not only the later scholars also started examining various scripts like Sharada, Proto-Bengali, Oriya. In the recent years, I have seen a book on paleography is written on the Orisian script. And another contribution is K.V. Subramaniar. Long back he deciphered successfully the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions, and after many years, Airavata Mahadevan, though basically an IAS officer, he did immense contribution as far as the Tamil early Brahmi is concerned. He made extensive field work, where personally he went to different spots to know and personally examine them, and wrote a big voluminous book on the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions. So along with Brahmi, Tamil Brahmi, Telugu Kannada, and different scholars, they focused on different aspects, regional script, and they wrote books connected with paleography from different language, Kannada, Telugu, and many other things. And another great scholar who did immense contribution in the area of Kharoshti script especially, and shell characters, is Professor B.N. Mukherjee. His contribution is of immense value, and these are very rare areas like Kharoshti. The students has to take more and more interest to learn this area, and Shanku Lipi or shell characters was successfully deciphered by Professor Mukherjee with his abilities. With the new discoveries and availability of large number of inscriptions, now the great desideratum is now we have to more and more work on this. Prior to pre-independence, inscriptions were there, and after that hundreds and thousands of more inscriptions have come to light, and better we re-examine, and we have to some more work has to be done to make the area more rich, so that at the micro and macro level we can study and enhance the value of these paleographical studies. Thanks to our predecessors, right from James Prinsep and other scholars, they put paleographical studies on a very strong foundation. James Prinsep, the father of Indian epigraphy, revolutionized the concept of Indian epigraphy, and not only he and subsequent scholars, epigraphists, they added immensely in the area of paleographical studies. But now, after many decades, we have to take a re-look and re-examine whatever studies made. But when we see there is still a greater need is there to make a detailed and authentic study of paleographical studies, because at that point of time the inscriptions were few, and now a large material is available from reported from different parts of India, not only from and even from Southeast Asia also. But now we have to meticulously take for inscriptions belonging to different periods, different dynasties, and different regions, so that they could be arranged and a more precise and perfect paleographical charts could be prepared. What is not known at that time could also be known. And moreover, we have to put into use the modern knowledge into this area, because now we have more digitized, more advanced techniques available. We can go to in situ, take photographs, and along earlier the scholars depended on the eye copy and the stamp pages. Sometimes it may be defective. Now we have to go to in situ, take the beautiful photographs of the inscription and make a detailed study so that their forms and more can be more precisely, more definitely defined than what they have done. So to better appreciate the available inscription we have to do, and moreover there is a great need because large chunk of inscriptions are also vanishing. Whatever stamp pages available now is only the material. So at the earliest we have to look into this, and the students have a major role in taking the paleographical studies to a greater next level. And another thing is many regional dynasties are left. Now at the micro and the macro level also studies are required. At the regional level, paleography studies cannot be neglected, because from when we look into this from 13th to 16th century, a large number of inscriptions are available which are written in local dialect and of course the regional script. But those inscriptions are not subjected to paleographical studies. So inscriptions reported from different parts of India, the later medieval period, also need to be studied. Though the scholars, they feel up to 12th century the evolution ended, but still there are different forms of available in different regions when we re-examine them. So we can take the paleographical studies to another level and include those inscriptions also, make a meticulous studies. Professor S.K. Acharya in the recent years has written a book on the paleographical aspects of Orison inscription. Earlier scholars have done, but more and more we can collect the inscriptions state-wise and take a re-look at those inscriptions and make an exhaustive study so that our paleographical studies can be enriched by this way. Thank you very much.